Welcome back to a special weekend edition of Cord Cutting Today. Some light news broke last week that Paramount Plus has lost over 1.3 million subscribers in its second quarter of 2025. We're going to break down what this means, and this comes as there's been continued interest, reportedly, between Peacock and Paramount Plus maybe doing a joint venture. That's been held up by a merger, but that merger closes very soon. We'll tell you what's happening and more, and why I think it's very likely that Paramount Plus and Peacock will be merging, or I should say maybe doing a joint venture together. These stories and my thoughts on them in a quick second, but first, if you want to learn more about this, I'll put a link to our story I'm about to talk about in the show notes and in the first pinned comment. If you like what we do here, please consider hitting that subscribe button, hitting that thumbs up. We break down everything happening in the world of cord cutting, try to help you break free from the high cost of TV and still watch the shows you enjoy. All right, let's dive into it. In the second quarter of 2025, it was announced that Paramount Plus lost 1.3 million subscribers. Now, they're still doing significantly better than many streaming services at 77.7 total subscribers worldwide. Now, this is not good news, though. It's not like, oh, we lost a little subscribers. This is 1.3 million subscribers, a lost number we don't typically see from streaming services with this. Now, this comes as Skydance and Paramount are about to merge, and then Paramount's going to get new leadership in Skydance with this. Now, it's expected to close, I believe, August 7th. I'm doing it off the top of my head. Sometime early August. Somebody correct me if I was wrong on that date. I was just doing it off the top of my head. When that happens, Skydance's leadership is expected to take over, and they've hinted at massive changes. Now, for some time, there has been reported talks of Warner Brothers Discovery. Before Skydance came in, there was talk of Warner Brothers Discovery buying Paramount. That did not become a reality. Part of the excitement there was to merge everything into Max. But there's been talk from Comcast, too, for NBC Universal and Paramount to basically merge Peacock and merge Paramount Plus. Now, the two companies would not merge. Comcast would not merge with Paramount, but they would do a joint venture where a third entity would be created, and the two streaming services we put into that, joint ownership between the two, and Paramount Plus and Peacock content would exist together in a single service right there. Exact details on how that will work, pricing, all kinds of big questions has not been announced, but there's been continued rumors on this. But if this trend continues, we could be in a very tough spot. Now, we've seen Peacock continue to struggle to be profitable. Paramount also has been struggling to become profitable in it with this. And we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. I think Paramount's going to have to do something here. They are in a precarious position. Their cable networks are really struggling, some of them. Nickelodeon is suffering from the same thing that Cartoon Network and others are suffering from. Kids are just not watching cable TV like they used to. MTV is now running long blocks of shows like Friends, which is not a show I typically think of with MTV content. And pressure across the board is growing on them, as it's growing on all media partners. You know, for a while, everything was consolidated down into Hulu for streaming. All these big four were all partnered in Hulu. Then they all said, we want our own service. We don't want to split all the revenue with Hulu. And now it sounds like we're going back to what it was. You know, everybody realized, hey, you know, Americans are not going to subscribe to 8+ different services. And now we're seeing that slow consolidation back. And I think that's kind of the future here. I think Paramount Plus and Peacock are the two to keep an eye on for this. Now, it doesn't mean the deal is guaranteed, but I think numbers like this make it very unlikely that we're going to see any change. We saw Peacock not adding subscribers, not really losing subscribers, but still significantly smaller than Paramount Plus, extremely smaller than Max and Disney Plus. Of the big four streaming services, they are the smallest. But they've been leaning heavily into sports. So has Paramount Plus a little bit. It'll be a pretty good merger, and it's one that if these two don't do it, they're going to merge with somebody. They're going to try to strike a deal. That's been reported that the new leadership over at Paramount wants, and that the leadership at Comcast wants. They've just been waiting for the merger to be completed before they can finalize talks for this. There are more streaming services on the market than the market can support. What does that mean? It means during 2020, at the height of everything happening there, the average cord cutters American paid between for 7 to 8 streaming services on average. Some paid more, some paid less. In our most recent survey of our followers here, over 1,500 of you told us that you subscribe to 3 or fewer streaming services now that are paid on average. Because of that, that means that all these services here, there's not enough people subscribing to all of them. Not just these, but the 100 plus other paid services out there. There's just not enough people paying for them to support all of them. At some point, we're going to see a whittling down of them. We've already slowly seen that with it. We'll have to keep a close eye on this, but the truth is here, a growing number of Americans are paying for fewer streaming services. Cost of streaming services is going up. It's resulting in people canceling. We saw that recently. Dish and Sling TV just reported hundreds of thousands of subscribers leaving. Comcast and Spectrum also lost hundreds of thousands of subscribers combined on their TV service. I suspect we'll see that continue into the future. So leave me a comment. Have you cut back on the number of streaming services? If so, which ones? Are you a Paramount Plus subscriber? How interested in it are you? I'll be honest, outside of Star Trek content, I don't really have a burning desire to go subscribe to it. I subscribe when there's something I want to watch. I unsubscribe. At best, it's a rotational service for me, and one that I don't put in rotation very often. So leave me a comment. Let me know what you think, what you subscribe to. I'd love to hear from you. I do believe that Paramount Plus and Peacock are the two most vulnerable major streaming services on the market right now. Peacock a little less so because they've struck big sports deals, but they are not seeing that huge growth in subscribers that I think they had probably hoped for with the sports rights. We'll see what happens come NFL season and into the spring of next year. For Paramount Plus, losing 1.3 million is a bad sign. If that continues, if their new Star Trek series are not big hits, they're becoming kind of divisive a little bit. A lot of people are either loving them or hating them with it. We'll see. I think there's a lot of potential in the new Star Trek series. I think there's a lot of things that Paramount can lean into assets. But at some point, people are asking, there's so much content to watch. I just don't have enough hours in the day. They need more than just 1 or 2 good Star Trek series to lock in millions of new viewers. So we'll have to wait and see. But that's it for today. If you want to read more about all the Paramount earnings numbers, Jess did a great story over at CoreCarsNews.com. I'll put a link to it in the show notes and in the first pinned comment. As always, though, hey, check out CoreCarsNews.com. What we talk about here is a fraction of what we cover over at CoreCarsNews.com. It's just so many deals, news, tips, tricks, reviews, and more. We just don't have enough time in the day to cover it all here on YouTube. Well, that's it for today. I hope you have a fantastic day. Take care. Be safe. I'll talk to you all again real soon.